Welcome to the Axecast. It's good to have you today. We tried to do this a little earlier today, but had some internet problems, so I'm glad you're back with us at 7 o'clock. Today we'll have updates to the social distancing timeline due to the health issues going on in the country right now. Your questions from yesterday's message that Axe Church put on. Hunter's going to show me some memes and get my reaction to them. We're going to have a trivia contest for you. And we're going to do some hot takes as well as answer your questions all today on the Axecast. All right, first, I want to tell you now, start typing in your questions into the comments about yesterday's message, if you have any, because in just a few minutes we're going to talk about that. If you have some questions, some clarifying stuff about the message from yesterday that went out with our service. I also have to tell you that we had a guest scheduled for tomorrow, Pastor Napoleon Kaufman. Some things have come up for him, and he's going to be unable to join us tomorrow. We're going to see if we can get him back for another broadcast later on. I apologize to those of you who are looking forward to hearing from Napoleon Kaufman. Pastor Kaufman, I was really looking forward to it myself. Also, do not forget to connect with us at axechurchnw.org, where you can get the rest of our content. If you're not part of the church here, but looking for a church and you're in the Portland, Vancouver area, you can check us out on that. Also, we have all kinds of stuff on YouTube. If you're on Facebook or if you're on YouTube, you can check us out. Our channel is youtube.com/axechurchnw. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Subscribe to us there. Click the little bell button. That'll give you all the notifications when we have stuff that comes up. And if you don't mind clicking like on those videos, that also helps us with their algorithm, I guess, to get this out to more folks who might be able to see it. So if you can and you're on YouTube, click that subscribe button, click the little bell, and click the thumbs up little deal under the video there so that we can have that go out to more folks. Contemplate podcast, if you're not part of that podcast, plus the messages, plus this as an audio podcast, they're all available wherever you can find podcasts. So Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or I don't know, what are some of the other ones? There are other ones.
Spotify. Those are the ones I know.
There are other places where people get their podcasts. Pocket Cast. There's some other ones. Anyway, you can find it all there. Tomorrow, the Contemplate podcast is going to be on hypocrisy and Christianity and whatever. You might find it pertinent. And so take a look at that. That comes out at 10 a.m. tomorrow. And so subscribe to those if you can, because that's an opportunity. You don't have to listen to them all, but they'll show up so you know when there's a new one that's been put out. Let's get into the news a little bit, Hunter. We have found out yesterday, the President of the United States has said, at least until the end of April, we're going to be continuing with the social distancing, unable to have live church services and that kind of thing. And so let me just get a take from you on that. How do you feel about the fact that we know we're in for at least another 4 weeks or so?
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. It's a lot. I've had snow days before, but I've never seen something where, the whole country, it's not just our region where we got snowed in or something like that.
Right. And
also, it's such a long-term situation where there's not really, I can go walk outside right now and I'm not standing in a foot of snow. Mm-hmm. If just from appearances, everything looks totally normal. So it's kind of weird how everything's quiet and normal, yet so abnormal and so strange.
Yeah.
I obviously don't know what the ramifications of this whole thing are going to be yet, but it's a little concerning. I trust in God, obviously, but it's just kind of crazy times to be trying to.
Have you found yourself reaching out more to people that you don't normally talk to on the phone, like had more texting with folks or whatever, checking in on more people, or have you found your social life to have been pretty much the same as it was before?
No, I think probably a little bit more, just because it's kind of like this crazy news thing that we can all be like, well, what do you think? We kind of want to hear from each other what we all think. I've got friends who are also leaders in different churches, so we've talked about what are you guys doing? How are you guys running your services? How are you dealing with all of this? And other friends who just are wishing each other to be safe and healthy. It's kind of it's kind of a nice side effect of this thing is that people
I hope that
connecting.
I hope that you all who are watching are taking this as an opportunity, if you have more time because of this, to reach out to some folks and show them some love and show them some care, reach out to them with the gospel and with the love of Jesus Christ. And it's just an opportunity to connect with people that usually we're so busy, or we think we're so busy, that we don't do it as much as we should. And so hopefully you'll be doing that. We're going to continue to look for opportunities and ways through platforms like Zoom, video conferencing, to get life groups together, to maybe to do some prayer meetings, to do some things where we can see each other and connect at the same time. So we're kind of thinking through and working through, okay, what does it look like outside of what's happening on Sunday, where we're in the comments, and hopefully today, if you're in the comments, if you're watching this on television, you can still pull it up on your phone and comment. If you're in the comments now on YouTube or on Facebook, say hi and let people know that you're there and that you're watching. I think it's just one of those things where knowing that we're watching things together and taking part in something at the same time together, that's why it's a live stream. We had the option to just record this and put it out later, but we really wanted to be able to live stream it so that you're taking it in at the same time that we're doing it. And so part of that is so that you can connect with one another and with us. Yeah. And so take advantage of those opportunities, because it's what we've got right now.
Yeah. This is the format that we all live in right now.
It's where we are.
Yeah.
So right now we're going to take a minute. We may not have any questions, but to answer any questions about yesterday, we had a church service. It was an online church service, but most of the church was there, from what I can tell. Lots and lots of us on either Facebook or on YouTube. It seemed like we had more YouTube than Facebook this time, as where maybe it was the opposite last week. I don't know. People are using.
We weren't on Facebook last week.
Oh, well, then we definitely had more YouTube last week. Okay. So a lot of people were on there. A lot of people were connecting. And of course, there was a message. And do you guys have any questions about yesterday's message? Hunter, you've got the comments. Anything come in on that?
I haven't seen anything. So send questions if you've got any.
You got about 30 seconds, because we're gonna move to the next thing.
Train's rolling.
If you didn't have any questions. So, and we put out something today, said to send you questions. I assume you didn't get any from your email.
No one emailed me. So thanks,
I'm
guys.
guessing it was pretty self-explanatory, what we were saying yesterday in the message and studying the Word. And so I'm going to guess you don't. If you do, you can put them in there, and I'll hit them at the end of the cast. But we'll move on to the next thing, which is Hunter is going to show me some memes and get my reaction to some memes. And so picked out some memes earlier today, but I have not spent a lot of time thinking about what they are and so on. I wanted to kind of save that to react along with you as we see these memes and sort of see what we think of them. So let's get the first meme up.
It's up, at least on my end.
Okay. We have it up on that end?
It's all up to Ethan now.
It's all up to Ethan in the back.
Our one-man
He's
production.
having to do everything back there tonight.
Oh, I see it. It's there.
Okay. What does it say? I don't
you don't. Yeah. Let me turn this so you can see it a little better.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I remember this one. So there's a parent handing, if you're listening, because of course, if they listen to this and don't watch it, then it says there's a parent handing a plate to his kid, I guess. And it says my parents, and then the plate is religion. And then it says me. And then the next one, it shows the kid throwing the plate out the door or whatever.
It's going to make a mess.
Assuming that the parents kind of fed this to me and I threw it away.
Yeah.
So this came from like an atheist site. And look, I can resonate with the idea that they're getting across, which is, look, I feel like this was force fed to me, or I was, my parents have always fed this to me as opposed to me taking it in myself. And I would say that if that's all that it is something that you've been fed, but never something that you've connected to or believed in, then I guess I get that. My suggestion would be that your parents probably were, rather than force feeding you something, were trying to teach you what they believed was true, and hopefully doing so in a winsome and loving and effective way, and using the right amount of evidence and faith and reason and all those kinds of things. But I do know that there's a lot of people who look at religion as though it's something that is kind of genetically almost given to you by your parents. Have you had that experience with folks?
Yeah. People definitely seem to think like, oh, well, either they are a Christian because their parents are Christians, like I don't have a choice in this; it's just what I am, or it's it's something where they kind of see it as like an oppressive type of thing that was put on them at a young age, and it's like, something must have not happened right there.
Yeah, it's a strange thing because, of course, you can grow up in a secular home where instead of being taught religion, you're taught not religion, or you're taught a different religion, or you're taught whatever it is. you're going to get something they're going to pass you something, whether it's what they believe about morality. Hopefully they're telling you,
Right.
you know, don't do bad things or whatever. And so the idea that because it comes from your parents or because they're the ones giving it to you, that you should reject it, which I'm not sure that's what this meme is saying, but it would seem to fit. I'm just not sure that it follows.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, believe it or not, memes are not always the best place to get your philosophy, theology, truth, and so on. But I think that there's this idea out there that a lot of people who are Christians because they grew up in a home where they were force-fed religion, and that's why they believe it. When the truth is that a lot of people have been taught a lot of things and they believe them or they don't believe them, but what it's not an argument against Christianity.
Yes.
In other words, Christianity is either true or it's false based on its merits. It would not matter whether every parent taught it their child or no parents taught it their child. It's either true or it's false. It has to stand or fall on the level of explanatory power and reason and evidence coupled with faith, like every other idea that exists, whether that makes sense. All right, let's go to the next one.
This one's interesting.
All right. Is it up on the screen?
Yeah, it should be up there
Okay,
already.
so it says, admit that I cheated with a local goat herder, or what's the other one say?
Create an entire religion to explain my pregnancy. And
Okay,
it's
yeah, so this one's the one about Mary. So this is kind of a classic atheist argument or idea that basically says, oh, look, you know, obviously the virgin birth didn't happen. And, you know, so somehow what is being suggested here is that Mary somehow created Christianity to explain her pregnancy, which is just absurd. First of all, Mary didn't create Christianity. Christianity exists and thrives because of the resurrection of Jesus Christ and the evidence claims for that. Not because the virgin birth is something that occurred, but it wasn't the thing that made people believe in Christianity. And so I think it's a little bit silly to suggest that, first of all, Mary's not the one who made it.
Yeah.
You know.
That would mean that she somehow convinced her son, Jesus, that he was the Son of God and God himself, and that he believed that so well that he would go out and perform miracles.
Right, and be able to raise people from the dead and do so on.
And lead thousands,
Yeah.
and he would die on a cross for it.
Right, and rise again.
And rise again.
All because Mary told him a lie about her. Look, there's no doubt that in the first century, there were people who thought this, right? Who would have,
yeah.
because they knew how people got pregnant,
Right.
who did not believe in the virgin birth, who did not believe that Jesus was the Son of God. That's not new. That's old. The fact is that the evidentiary claims for the virgin birth stand or fall on the rest of the evidentiary claims of Scripture, right?
Yeah.
Okay, would I normally believe that a person was pregnant by the Holy Spirit? No, I would not, unless that person rose from the dead. Then I might start to believe that the rest of the claims made about that person are true.
Yeah.
This meme itself is more of an opportunity to disparage Mary and Scripture than it really is bringing any value to any kind of a discussion.
Yeah.
So, next.
We got next. This is our boulder.
Oh, yeah. So there's a big boulder, says scientific truth on it. It's coming down a hill with a sign pointing away that says progress, like if it was to continue to roll, we'd move on to progress. And then there's a bunch of people, assumedly Christians, that are trying to hold it back in different ways. And it says, what does it say?
Like suppress, mislead, reject, deny.
Okay. So the idea is that the Christians are denying and pushing back and suppressing scientific truth and keeping us from progress because, you know, for whatever reason they don't believe it or they don't want other people to believe it or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are so many problems with this one. The first one is, of course, science as we know it is primarily a Christian invention, which is to say Christians are the ones who believe that we have a God, that we have a personal God, that God created the universe, that he created it with order, and that therefore we could discover things that were true about God's creation and earth through an ordered system of discovery. And so many of the greatest scientists that have ever lived have been Christians. And it's their Christian worldview and beliefs about God that led them into the scientific method as a way for discovery. Scientific truth is kind of, I think most scientists would say, scientific truth isn't a thing. That rather science is used as a process for discovering
and observing
and creating theories about why something happens.
Right.
That's why we still call things the theory of gravity. Now, we think gravity is true.
Yeah.
But science's job is not to prove things are true, but rather to describe what we see happen through experiment. Right? And to come up with a hypothesis, we test the hypothesis, and it can get strong enough to become a theory that we put a lot of faith in based on how often that thing continues to happen. So gravity, every time I've dropped a phone, it's dropped and hit the ground. And that has happened a number of times for me, and I've had to replace some phones. But that's the nature of science. So scientific truth by itself is kind of a misnomer. The idea that Christians are suppressing science, it may be true that there are Christians out there who are somehow afraid of science as if it was this thing. But primarily across the Christians, across the world, most of us are advocates of science. Many, many, many scientists and medical doctors and people who work in labs and so on, including Francis Collins, who mapped the human genome. They're Christians that are also scientists. So Christians are not against science. Christians like science because we believe that it's what we use to show that the universe has order, which is evidence of a God that's ordered, as opposed to the universe being chaotic and unscientific, which would suggest some sort of more naturalistic, view of the universe. Right.
Yeah.
You could also use this another way. If I took out the word scientific and put the word moral in there, then it would be moral truth trying to go on to moral progress and all these people suppressing it.
Yeah.
And you could say the same thing about a lot of people in society who suppress and push back moral truth, which is what we read in Romans 1:18 through 32 or whatever it is, where it talks about people suppressing the truth and righteousness about who God is, about morality, about those things. And so I don't find this one very convincing.
No.
Next.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Well, maybe. Okay. Oh, this one's for me.
Oh, yeah. This is the baby one?
Yeah.
How do I put this? You will never sleep in again. So this is Hunter's about to have a daughter, and this is a meme of a baby saying that you're never going to sleep in again once you have a baby. How do you feel about that, Hunter?
Oh, that's all right. I'll figure it out.
I think you'll probably sleep in.
Yeah.
Because you have a wife, so can't she take care of all that?
Exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
right.
This is for Taylor, really.
Yeah, right. If you were to do that, you'd be in a lot of trouble.
I've already kind of with a dog, especially when he was a puppy. Didn't get to sleep a regular schedule then, because when we first got my dog, we lived in an apartment on the 3rd story. So if he needed to go to the bathroom, which he always did in the middle of the night, I had to go carry him down 3 flights of stairs and stand out there with him. So.
So you're basically saying that having a kid is like having a dog.
Yep, exactly.
That's going to go well in the comments.
I actually had a friend who had his baby about the same time that I got my dog. We were like comparing how bad, my dog had diarrhea on the carpet. And they're like, well, we do have diapers, so that helps. But
you'll find that they don't always work.
That's what I hear.
It's having a baby. There certainly is an amount of time where sleep is difficult. I want to give a shout out to my kids who both started sleeping through the night within like a month. And so we were able to get pretty normal sleep patterns within a very short period of time.
How did you train them?
I'm not saying they didn't cry and need things. We just stopped paying attention. Yeah, no, I'm kidding. They just started sleeping through the night. I don't know. They're good about that. So, All right. Next meme.
All right. Here's everyone's an atheist about most gods, and it's got a picture of a bunch of Greek and Roman gods.
Yeah. So this is a classic atheist argument, where what they'll say is, there's all these so-called gods out there, and an atheist is just an atheist about one more God than you are. You're an atheist about all these gods, just not, the God of the Bible. And we just happen to go one step further. The only way that works is if there's equal evidence for all gods. Every god was somehow equal, and we were just deciding, well, we don't believe in these ones, but we believe in this one based on some random thing. But the fact is that any god, any purported God, whether it be a Greek god or whether it be the one true God, we believe in based on whether there's evidence or not evidence. So yes, but I'm not an atheist in any sense of the word, because I believe there's a God. So to say I'm an atheist about Zeus is not a proper term, because an atheist believes there's no God,
right.
And I believe there is a God. So it's a bad argument. It suggests that the implication is that somehow evidentially all the claims for gods are equal, and so they reject these ones, they reject all of them, and I just reject one less than them.
Yeah,
that's silly.
And I mean, it almost kind of gives like the Christian intelligence a little more credit. It's like, yes, you're not just blindly accepting anything that people could call a god as a god. Like you are using the same thought processes as an atheist uses to decide.
I reject Zeus for the same reason that an atheist rejects Zeus, and I accept the one true God based on the same kind of reason that I used to reject Zeus.
Right.
Right. And so, yeah, that's not a great argument.
Yeah,
All right, let's move forward.
This one's for you.
Who said pastor in a church? So there's a picture like a 90-year-old guy.
Sorry if
fella.
he's not 90. I feel bad.
I don't know how old he is. Who said pastor in a church is stressful? I'm 42 and feeling great. So I am 42. You'll have to comment in the comments whether you think I look like this already. Sometimes I feel like I do.
Here, just look at the camera right there.
Okay.
We got the picture right up here. Just everybody, can you tell the difference?
How close?
Can you tell the difference? Put on some glasses.
Yeah. Here's the deal. I've seen other memes like this, like pastoring is this way. Let me just say this. Look, any person, pastor, not pastor, teacher, plumber, doctor, lawyer, you work in an office, you do it, whatever you do, if your life is poured out for Jesus Christ, you have the same exact thing going on as I do.
Yeah.
I just happen to be in a vocation, in a calling that has me doing it in the context of a role in the body that has to do with teaching and pastoral care and whatever.
Right.
But if you are, you're a secretary or you're a whatever you're doing, right? You're a fireman and your life is dedicated to the Lord and you care about his people and you're doing all the things he's called you to do and you're praying for people, you're not dealing with any different thing than I am. And so I tend to reject the idea that being a pastor carries with it this extraordinary amount of stress beyond what everybody carries. I will say this. I was much less stressed as a full-time attorney than I am as a pastor. And when I say stressed, I'm literally talking about the outward pressing upon me, not the state of my heart, because how much I allow stress to affect me has to do with how much I'm trusting in God and how much I'm living in the Spirit and whatever. So when I'm trusting God and I'm living in the Spirit and I'm moving in His will, it's no different no matter what I've ever done. Pastoring, lawyering, working. I've worked in a warehouse. I worked at Fred Meyer. I've done all kinds of different things. And if I'm in Christ, it's the same, right?
Right.
Are there more outward pressures on a pastor? Maybe. I don't know because I'm not doing other things right now. But
I'm sure it could depend on how you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure there's.
I also happen to pastor a great church with great people who are super supportive and who I know love me and who I know they might not always agree with me, and sometimes they let me know that. But I know that they love me. I know that I'm supported. We don't have a bunch of people who complain a lot in our church. We don't have a lot of that, and so maybe there are pastors who look like that because maybe the church they're at. But Acts Church is really a fantastic expression, the local expression of the body of Christ, and so I love it. I don't feel 92 or whatever. 70, whatever, however old this fella is, I don't feel like that.
He's 50.
I feel fine. I feel great.
All right,
next.
All right.
Okay.
So,
read it out for us.
True morality is doing what is right without the threat of divine retribution, nor the possibility of divine reward. This is a quote by Arthur Paladin.
Okay, and then the other side, do they have
says,
that too?
The other side says, so be good for goodness sake. It's
with
got
Santa Claus.
Yeah.
So here's another kind of common argument among some atheists, non-theists, nuns, and I don't mean the Catholic ones, I mean people who don't have any religion, which is this idea that, look, you shouldn't have to have God or fear of punishment in order to do the right thing. Like you should just do it because it's right. The problem with the argument is that, first of all, I don't know a lot of Christians who are saying that my primary motivation for doing what's right, for instance, for not going and robbing a bank, is that I'm worried that I'm going to get zapped by God if I do it. I believe that most people are doing that for exactly what they're saying, because it's the right thing to do. It's consistent with their purpose and their calling and who they are in life and humanity and things like that. Of course, the problem for the atheist is not this. The problem is that they have no foundation for morality. The problem is not that we don't do, I agree with them, do good for goodness sake, but what is good if you're an atheist?
Right.
There is no foundation for which you to put good on. And I've had these conversations and people say things like, Well, it's whatever. Evolution has sort of hardwired into us what's good or bad. But if that's the reason that it's there, there's no reason to believe that it's actually good, only that by happenstance it was wired into us. Or we all just know what's good, which is my argument. It's like, I know.
Yeah.
That's what Scripture tells us. It's clear that we all just know what's good. You just don't have an explanation or a worldview that could support the idea that the thing that we know is actually good. So to say do good for goodness sakes, or for goodness sake, or that you can be good as an atheist, yeah, you can be good, and I believe you know what's good. The question between myself and the person who rejects God isn't whether we both know what's good. That's my argument, that we both know what's good. The question is, what answer do you have for why you know it's good? As opposed to bad, as opposed to indifferent. How can you even use a word like good or bad when all that is in the naturalistic atheistic worldview is just what is?
Right.
How would you ever derive an ought, I ought to do this, from the fact that something is? You can't.
Yeah.
All right, get that one out of here. What's next?
We got
Richard Dawkins. I see him. What's he say?
He's saying faith is belief without evidence and reason. Coincidentally, that's also the definition of delusion. And he wrote...
And there was another one with this one too, right?
Yeah, there's another kind of similar one.
Okay, that's the fish. So you have like the Jesus fish, except it says evidence. And then you have another fish that's being eaten by the bigger evidence fish that's called faith.
And that goes on your car.
And that's, you can put that, get you a bumper sticker with that. Okay, so both the same idea. Here's the problem with Dawkins' quote. Faith is belief without evidence is not what the definition of faith is by any standard that a Christian would use. Right?
Yeah.
Faith is not belief without evidence. That's not what it is. And so that's the first thing wrong. And then he says that coincidentally, that's also the definition of delusion. It's not the definition of delusion either. Delusion is believing something that's untrue. Right? When believing something that's untrue because there is something that is deluding you about it. So normally a delusion would be something that would be a mental illness issue where you either see things that aren't there, or you believe you're the Queen of England or something, unless you are the Queen of England. Then no offense if you're watching
she's on here, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I don't know what Lizzie? I mean, we're not under her.
We just lost.
We got rid of the British a long time ago.
All of our British followers. Are just
sorry,
leaving.
British people. She's just not the queen for us. I'm sorry.
That's true.
So anyway, and then this faith being eaten by evidence idea. Here's the deal. Faith is, yes, it's evidence of things not seen. Okay, it's the certainty of things that are hoped for. But the whole point of what faith is it's evidence of what's not seen based on what is seen. Evidence of what's not seen based on what is seen. So people talk about the Christian faith as if the Christian faith is something we believe blindly or something we believe based on no evidence, but that's just not true. In fact, if you read at the beginning of Acts, it talks about that Jesus rose from the dead, and it was proved by what? Many infallible proofs. It does not say one thing in there, in that section that says Jesus rose from the dead, and we take that on blind faith.
Right.
It says his resurrection by many infallible proofs. It has always, read the New Testament. You cannot read the New Testament and come out of that with any idea that anyone was trying to get people to believe something that there was no evidence for. In fact, Paul writes like an attorney. He writes like a philosopher. We've talked about before, and if you've been in church long, even if you don't go to Acts Church, you know how many times it says therefore in the Bible, because those are arguments that are being made. We know this, and we know this, therefore we can assume this. That's the way things work. The idea that evidence and faith are at odds with each other, that evidence eats faith or something like that, is absurd. It's a misunderstanding of what evidence is. It's a misunderstanding of what faith is. Dawkins is just plain wrong to suggest that faith is what he says it is. In fact, in order for him to believe the things he believes about the nature of the universe, about the history of the universe, about biological, he's a biologist, so about biological evolution or whatever, all of those things take a large measure of faith. None of them are things like, oh, there's a phone here and I can touch it. That takes very little faith. I just have to believe that I'm not asleep and dreaming, I'm not in the Matrix, I'm not whatever. That's the kind of very, very, very small faith.
Right.
But for me to believe, let's say that my car is still parked outside, takes a little bit more faith. Somebody could have stolen it, I can't see out there. It's my faith in this case is evidence of things that I don't see,
yes,
based on what I do see. right? So I know I parked my car there. I know the key's in my pocket. I know it's unlikely. It's be hard to steal my car. It's unlikely to happen. The statistics are against. So I believe it's probably there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how faith works. These memes misunderstand faith and want to divide the world into smart people who only base things on evidence and not smart people who are deluded and only believe things on faith. It's completely false. Every single human being uses faith for most of the beliefs. That is, every single belief that is outside of what they can touch, taste, see, and smell literally in front of them at that moment is in increasing levels of faith. So believing that my car there takes a certain amount of faith. Believing that there was such a person as Abraham Lincoln takes a little bit more faith. Believing that there's such a place as North Korea that I've never been to and only seen on a map. And I mean, seen videos that they say are North Korea, takes a little bit more faith. Believing that they're, and so on and so forth and so on. And so believing in God is an issue of faith based on an awful lot of evidence. Believing that the resurrection was true actually took very little faith for the hundreds of people that saw him. Was over 500 people that you could go talk to at that time who saw Jesus alive after he was very definitely dead. It took very little faith for them, about as much as it takes for me to believe there's a phone here, right? And so those are the witnesses to us. We believe witnesses about things all the time and rarely have 500 eyewitnesses. All right, next one.
Well, that was it, I think.
Oh, done with the memes. All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you check the comments to see if we've gotten anything that we need to react to before I move on to the next thing.
Oh, I didn't see anything. I've been watching him. Yeah, no.
Okay.
We had some reactions earlier, but nothing really.
This is going to be fun.
Question-wise.
We're going to do a trivia contest. And it's for you, not for us. We have 10 questions, and here's how this is going to work. The person who gets the right answer into the comments, and we have both Facebook and YouTube comments here coming at the same time, so we'll know who gets in fastest.
Yep.
The person who gets the right answer in the fastest gets a point for every one that you do. Answer them whether you're the first one or not. Feel free to answer and put your answers in there. We're going to ask these 10 questions. And the person who gets the most points, which is they got the first answer in that was right, they're going to get, when we get our new Acts Church mugs in, which will look a little different than this, they're going to be newly designed, but when we get the new Acts Church mugs in, you're going to get one. So you get basically a coupon for the new Acts Church mug for free for the person who gets the most points. So that's our trivia game for this evening, for tonight.
Some people would value this prize at hundreds, thousands of dollars, so this is a big deal.
I think we're going back to the whole delusional thing there.
My bad.
Probably worth about $10. But hey, it's $10, okay?
Yeah.
And it's an Acts Church mug. I want you to have it. And so this is what you're going to do. We're going to read the question. Most of these questions have several answers. We'll read the answers. You can type in the answer. If you're right and you're the first one to get it right, you get a point. Now, if there's a tie of just two people, they're both going to get mugs. If there's a tie of more than that, Hunter and I are going to put the names in a hat later and decide and pick a winner out, okay? Ooh. So if there's a tie between 3 or 4 or 5 or 10... Win. Yeah, we'll just take those. Then we'll put your names in a basket, a hat, whatever. A basket. We'll use a basket.
A basket.
And we'll pull one out, and that's the person who win, and we'll announce that one tomorrow. Or we'll announce today based on this. So I'll read one, then you read one, and we'll go like that. The first one...
Wait. Okay, I got to get them up then.
Okay, Hunter's got to get them up. This is going to be fun. This is going to be exciting. And so we tried to mix the questions between ones that you had to have a certain kind of knowledge to answer and ones that you have to do some educated guessing to answer and so on. So the first one, I'm going to read it. Do you have to go fix something back there? Okay, we want to put them on the screen, so Hunter's going to go back there. You guys can take this time to... Oh, he's back. Okay, he's already back. First question. You're going to put either true or false. That's what you're going to write. You can't write it until after I finish saying it. If it comes in before I finish saying it, it's not going to count. All right. True or false?
True or false?
True.
True or false?
True or true? True. True or false? The Bible tells us that God had the Apostle Saul change his name to Paul. The Bible tells us that God had the Apostle Saul change his name to Paul. True or false?
All right, we've got answers already because it was already up there. Oh. So you have to wait for us to read the question, Ethan. But
all right, and you can show the next one that will show that it is.
He's bouncing all over.
Oh, he has to bounce back there. It's false. Bible doesn't say that. Okay, Paul was the kind of Roman Greek version of the name Saul. It's somewhat interchangeable. Luke says the apostle Saul, who's also called Paul. It just happened to be that at that
Right.
time you'd have a Jewish name, and then you'd have kind of what that name is in Greek. We see this with like when we're in Honduras, you got somebody named Jaime, and here we call them Jamie. Whatever. So that's how that worked. It was not the other way.
Right.
Number 2, don't put it up until I've read it. Okay. Who is the 12th disciple chosen to replace Judas in Acts chapter 1? So Acts chapter 1, they choose a new disciple, chosen to replace Judas. Here's Matthias, Paul, Matthew, James. Which one is it? Matthias, Paul, Matthew, or James?
Let's see what we got. Let's see who we got.
All right. Dun, dun, dun. I probably can't. It's probably copyright on the Jeopardy song.
Yeah. Do like a changed up.
Do, 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 do.
All right.
We got one?
Yes.
Got a winner? Okay. Number 3. What date is Hunter's daughter's due date? April 11th, April 7th, April 17th, or April 10th? April 11th, 7th, 17th, or 10th? Which one is it? See if we get an answer in here. It's probably going to be, if Taylor's watching, she should be able to get this one right.
Yeah, my mother-in-law got it.
Oh,
so,
your mother-in-law got it. I was going to say that your family couldn't do it, but I was like, you know what? They deserve it.
Right,
Okay?
right.
Good job, Cheryl. All right. Number 4. According to Wycliffe.
People are actually surprised. We had a good mix of right answers, actually. I was surprised.
Oh, wow.
You guys are...
According to Wycliffe Bible translators, okay, how many languages do not currently have a translation of the full scriptures? Maybe they have some, but they don't have the full scriptures. How many languages on the earth, in the world, do not have it? Is it 17,067, 157, 6,665, or 895? Which one is it? Answer now. I'm going to let them sue me.
You
We got an answer?
just got to change it up slightly.
Yeah.
No answers yet.
Uh-oh. 17,067, 157, 6,665, or
Okay, we've got a
895.
right answer. We got one.
We got a right answer. All right. Good job, whoever got that one. It was Ethan. 6,665 languages currently do not have the full scriptures translated into their language. All right, here we go. This one's going to be probably pretty quick, okay? How many books are in the New Testament? 23, 32, 27, or 29? How many books are in the New Testament?
I shouldn't have put number questions back to back because now I'm going to be confused.
Boom, 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 boom,
Like, no, there are not 6,000
and we're like
books.
a few seconds ahead of where people
Yeah,
are.
so
right?
after we say it, it's going to take a
So
little
it
bit.
takes a little bit. Okay, that's fine. You can just listen to my...
And okay, we got an answer.
We got a winner. We got a winner. Okay. Got a winner. And we have all different winners so far? Or anybody got more than one?
Oh, we've got a couple people with more than one.
Oh, a couple people.
Couple people.
Get in the game, everybody. We can't have a couple people getting too many. Okay.
Oh, I was wrong about this one.
Oh, he
but
was wrong. All right.
I missed
It's
one.
the first time that's ever happened.
Well, back up.
All right.
Okay.
Number 6. According to a survey by Legionnaire Ministries, this percent of respondents to the survey somewhat or strongly agreed with this statement. Here's the statement. Worshiping alone or with one's family is a valid replacement for regularly attending church. Worshiping alone or with one's family is a valid replacement for regularly attending church. What percentage of those surveyed agreed with that statement? And it's 27%, 14%, 77%, or 58%. What percentage of people said it's fine for me to not go to church and just to worship by myself or with my family?
Oops, got the bottom of this one cut off. My bad.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh, is it? Can they not see it?
Oh, they can
27%?
see it. They can see it.
Okay, okay.
We got a right answer.
Okay, and Ethan, the answer was?
58%.
58%. 58% of people who were surveyed thought that it was cool to not regularly attend a church and just do it by yourself or with your family. That's 58% of people that were
And that was
dead wrong.
They were not talking about during the coronavirus.
No, they were not talking about during the coronavirus. Even then, you should be checking out the live services together.
Yes.
But yeah, dead wrong about that. And I was very sad there were 58% of them. All right, number 7. I'll let you read number 7.
Number 7. Number 7. Who was the disciple Peter's brother, who was also Christ's disciple? Who was the disciple Peter's brother, who was also Christ's disciple? So, the brother of Peter.
Okay.
Again, that's the brother.
What are the names?
Oh, right. I have to read the answers. James, John, Simon, or Andrew are your options.
James, John, Simon, or Andrew.
It's funny. John Robinson just popped on. So right before I even read the question, a bunch of people said John and funny John. And so I was like, why are they already? I haven't even asked the question.
There
yet.
you go. There you go. We have an answer?
Yep, we got one.
And the answer is, he's having to literally roll across the booth back there. It's Andrew is the brother of Peter. Andrew. All right. Number 8. Which number is larger? Which is going to be the larger number? The forecasted number of fast food establishments in the United States or the estimated number for Christian churches in the United States? What are there more of? Fast food establishments, that's every fast food establishment, or Christian churches? Which one is there more of? We'll give you a couple seconds to answer which one there is more of. More McDonald's or more Christian churches? Let me know when an answer comes in. This is where that delay thing really kind of plays a role.
People are theorizing whether or not it's faster on YouTube or Facebook.
Oh, I see.
Might be some strategy
So there
involved.
may be people who are getting this a little bit ahead of somebody else.
And we have our first right answer.
Okay. And the answer is Christian churches. 384,000 Christian churches estimated, and is forecasted there's 247,191 fast food restaurants. So we win.
Yeah.
There's more places to get the gospel than there is to get a hamburger or a taco or whatever.
You're more likely to crash your car into a church than into a fast food place. Just other ways to look at it.
That's an interesting way to look at it. All right, number 9. Go ahead, Hunter.
Number 9. According to a survey by Legionnaire Ministries, this percentage of evangelical Christians agree with this statement. Statement being, religious belief is a matter of personal opinion. It is not about objective truth.
So these are evangelical Christians who were asked this question, and the statement is what?
Religious belief is a matter of personal opinion. It is not about objective truth.
Okay.
32%, 17%, 4%, or 29%.
These people are saying that religious belief is just about an opinion. It does not correspond to objective truth. It's not actually true or false, just whatever your opinion is. And these were evangelical Christians who were asked this. 32%, 17%, 4%, or 29%. Let me know when we get a right answer.
Well, someone put an almost right answer, but they got the number off by 1, so they didn't get it.
Come on, you got to try again.
Oh, we got it.
Okay. And the answer is, Ethan? 32%.
It was a costly typo.
Almost a third of evangelical Christians that were asked this question said that religious belief is a matter of personal opinion, not objective truth. I have no idea how you could think that as the evangelical Christian. And if you're thinking that right now, it's okay. Don't think it anymore. Your faith in Christ, your belief in Christ is about objective truth. The whole Scripture is about what's really real and true. And so it's interesting. And I think that the way it works is like that 32% would be those who strongly agree with the statement or somewhat agree with the statement. So at some level agreed with it. All right.
Your math skills are getting called into question here by a certain math teacher that you know.
It's almost a third. 32% is almost a third. 33.33333% is a third. It's 32%. I mean, how close do you want me to get? Which math teacher is it?
Guess.
I'm guessing it's Julie.
Yeah, you got it.
Come on, Julie. Come on.
Ding, ding, ding. You get it.
If you win, you're not getting the mug now because you question my math skills. Okay. I don't like having to do math. Number 10, go for it.
Number 10. All right. Number 10, what is the meaning? We're gonna look at the Greek language. What is the meaning of the Koine Greek word anastasis or anastasis or however you want to pronounce it? It's kind of hard to say.
That's fine.
And options are anesthesia, annual, redemption, or resurrection?
This one goes to the people who have been watching the Axecast because we actually talked about this.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one
Does
you
it
could have
mean
studied
anesthesia, annual, redemption, or resurrection? Let me know when we get the right answer in, Hunter.
for. And we got it.
Okay.
Ooh, it was a close one.
All right. And the answer is, Ethan? Resurrection. Anastasis, resurrection. Hunter and Taylor are naming their baby Aniston. Aniston?
Yes. Spelled
this way. A-N-A-S-T-O-N.
S-T-O-N.
Okay. And to
I think.
she's going to be born right around Resurrection Sunday, and so
Yeah.
Resurrection.
Yes.
So-
Resurrection.
It's a good name. It works. Okay. Do you have a winner?
I think I do.
Okay. You think you do?
I think I do.
Let's not announce the wrong person. Let him count it up here.
Okay.
I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let us know if you enjoyed this here in the comments so that we know that you did, because then we'll be willing to do it again.
Yes, I think we have one person. We have several people with 2 points, and we have one person with 3 points.
Okay.
And I feel like maybe we might have set them up to win with one of our questions. And it's my mother-in-law, Cheryl. She's got 3 points.
Family members winning. I don't know what I think about that. But Cheryl, we didn't say family members couldn't play, and you got 3 right, and so you're getting not this mug, because this is actually Susan Vanderplug's mug, and Susan and Dave Vanderplug's
We can't
mug.
get that away.
I can't give this to you.
Priceless.
But that when they come in, you're getting one. Hunter will send you some sort of coupon that he makes up or something, or you know where he lives, so you can figure that out.
Right.
That was fun. I enjoyed that. I don't know if people did or not, but
Yeah, I hope you
hopefully
liked
they
it.
did, and you'll let
It's
us
a little bit
know
of fun.
that.
And a lot of people did get most of the questions right,
Yeah.
but they just didn't do it fast
Yeah,
enough.
it's just a timing thing. Maybe we can find another way to do it where it's not timing, or we take the third right answer.
And
or
for
something.
those who are saying that, some people are saying that YouTube was faster than Facebook, which I think is somewhat true depending on where you're watching it and how your internet is. But Cheryl was watching on Facebook, and she managed to get
well, there
3
you
of them.
go.
So
I actually thought Facebook was faster when I've seen it before, but I could be wrong. Oh,
Well,
yeah, I'll
who
tell you
knows?
why I think that, because YouTube puts that automatic time clock when we do a premiere video.
yes,
Anyway,
That
you
was
guys,
on
you guys
Sunday,
don't
yeah.
care about that. Anyway, here we go. We're going to do some hot takes. Here's what hot takes are. It's a statement that is usually not really that important, but then we talk about the implications of that statement and kind of what we think about it. And so we have 3 different statements. We're going to put them out there, and we're going to talk about them. You are encouraged to put your own thoughts about this in the comments. Be kind and thoughtful and have Christian love for one another, but feel free to debate it out in the comments as we're talking about it. This is our first hot take. You ready, Hunter?
yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. First hot take is this. Everyone.
Oh, Randy wishes we had a Final Jeopardy round, so maybe we'll take that into consideration.
We'll think about that, Randy. As long as you're willing to risk money, and if you lose, we get that, then I would think about doing that.
Or either way.
Or
Either way, we get the money.
Yeah, either way we get the money. Whatever we could.
Just kidding.
From now on, it's $10 to play.
we can't do that.
No, I'm kidding.
can't
I'm
do that.
kidding. I'm kidding. All right. I do that sometimes. Here's our first hot take. Everyone should dress up in their Sunday best for worship services. I'm going to give you the first hot take on it. Everyone should dress up in their Sunday best for worship services.
You're going to give me the hot take, or
I'm going to
give
let you. I'm going to let you give your thoughts on this first.
Oh man, I think. Well, obviously, if you see what I wear on Sundays, typically it's just a small step above like what I'm wearing right now, which it might not even be a step above what I'm wearing right now.
I just know it doesn't leave a lot to the imagination.
Hey, come
in terms
on.
of how tight your pants are. But other than that, yeah. So you don't do that. Obviously, you don't feel that.
right.
But as a hot take, what's your pro and con?
I
Did you
think
grow up dressing up?
at least somewhat, yeah.
Okay.
I never was like wearing suits to church or anything like that, but I usually would wear like a button up. I think was probably a very common thing. Maybe a little bit nicer shoes. That was dressing up. Now my dad, he will wear shorts to church, year round.
I think I've seen him wear shorts
yes,
to our church.
yeah, he's come to our church and he wears shorts.
He's got
and-
great legs.
Yeah, that's where I get them. Obviously, I see both. I think my dad probably dressed up a little bit more when I was younger, and then like as I got into high school. Well, he was the youth minister at our church. I don't know why I did air quotes. He was the youth
He's
minister.
the youth minister. Was it because everyone was old, or because he wasn't much of a minister? Which one was the quotes for?
The quotes is because he was a volunteer youth minister,
Okay.
which shouldn't deserve quotes. So
Okay.
that's why I said
Yeah.
Find out
You're a
quotes.
real youth minister. It's
Yeah.
fine.
You're real dad. And so, yeah, I've seen it both ways. It kind of, for me, it depends on what type of culture I'm going into. Here at our church, we don't have a culture of dressing up. In some churches, they do have a culture of dressing up. Usually, I think it's because of an idea. Well, my reason for thinking dressing up is a good thing is because it shows reverence for the reason that you're there. Kind of like the same reason you dress up to go to a wedding. You're showing reverence for the...
You've never seen me at a wedding, but okay.
That's true. I actually have not.
Yeah.
And so it shows reverence for the thing that you're doing. And so that's kind of...
on the pro side, it's an outward sign of reverence. Here's my thing. And I have probably a little bit more compassion for the side of dressing up.
Okay.
I used to dress up. Growing up, going to church, I used to wear a tie. I mean, I'm talking when I was young, up through a certain age, I think basically always wore a tie. Sometimes it would be jeans with a tucked in shirt and a tie, hair looking, the whole thing. I bet you there's a picture somewhere out there that maybe I can find of me just looking 80s and 90s sweetness with like the tie with the pinks and stuff in it.
Right.
In any case, I would wear a tie going to church, and I have a lot of, I get the view of, you wear your Sunday best as a showing, as an outward sign of reverence. The reason that I don't, there's a couple things. One is what your Sunday best is a very, that can vary from person to person.
Right.
Maybe one person's like, I really like the way I look in a suit. Another person's like, I really like the way I look in a t-shirt.
Right.
So if I'm trying to look my best, the way that I think I look the best, it's a t-shirt and shorts because, hey, that's just whatever. Or their thing is my reverence is internal, and I don't feel compelled in my conscience to have an external showing of that. And I'm cool with both sides. To me, a church should look like this: those who feel like the Lord has called them to dress in a particular way because it shows a certain amount of reverence should do so. Those who feel like that's not part of their thing shouldn't.
Right.
And everybody should respect the conscience of one another. It is definitely not a biblical thing that says you ought to do this or not ought to do that. And there may be those who would argue about that. We bring God our best and so on. But again, you're wanting to define best in a particular cultural way because clothes are very, very cultural, right? If you came dressed like the pictures of Jesus, which is, more, a tunic, whatever, that type of thing. I think most people would be like, that's a weird thing for you to wear to church. Right. It's distracting.
Yeah.
And
like,
and
I'm
yet,
just trying to be like Jesus.
And yet at the synagogue in the first century, it would have been what your best was, or whatever, right? And so I think that you've got to recognize the extent to which that's cultural, and you got to recognize the extent to which it's personal. In other words, hey, you know what? It's Resurrection Sunday, and I want to do something different today, and so I'm going to wear, let's just say, a bright white suit.
We've got comments there.
Okay. Let's just
It's too bad we don't have a picture that we can throw up
as
right
an
now.
example, I'm just saying you wanted to wear a bright white suit. If that's your way of showing, hey, this is something special, I get that. And that's a color that makes sense. There's a theological side to being washed white with snow, and hey, cool. I am totally cool with that. Doesn't mean I'm not going to put your picture up later and talk about John Travolta and Saturday Night Fever. That might happen, but you should wear what you feel is what you ought to wear. It's not a thing. Now, there are some things you ought not to wear. For instance, I should come preach with no shirt on. That's not good for anybody.
No.
Okay? Nobody wants to see that. So there are certain things that have to do with decorum. You shouldn't wear things that are overly audacious. You shouldn't wear things that are meant to draw attention to yourself. You shouldn't wear things that are, sexually provocative. There's all kinds of things you ought not to do. But in terms of what you ought to do, I believe that's a conscience issue for the believer, and that everyone should respect each other's conscience on that issue. Don't be distracting. Don't do something that's wrong. But I get both sides of that. It's kind of an old debate. It really doesn't exist that much in the church anymore. That 20 years ago and 30 years ago, that was a bigger debate. But probably after the Jesus People movement, where things really got changed, where you have people in church in a tie-dye shirt and shorts and no shoes on with their toe in the communion cup holder. At some point, we're like, you know what? They seem to have the Holy Spirit and love Jesus. We probably shouldn't put anything extra on them. Yeah. And so I think that's just kind of pervaded in now by 2020. I don't think it's a real live issue for most people in the church. But for those who feel that, I think you should do that. All right, next hot take. Here it is. Are you ready for it?
No.
Okay, get ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Here it comes. Cats, felines, cats, are the most fallen of all mammals, the most affected by the fall of all mammals.
If anyone should be able to get this question right, it should be you and your family. After what has happened to your wife, after that's basically all I got for reasons why.
Yes. My wife spent 3 days in the hospital after a cat bite. Now, to be
Yes.
fair, it was a feral cat, and she didn't know that.
Okay.
And it attacked because the people acted like this was a normal, domesticated cat, and it was literally a wild animal that did what wild animals do, and it bit her a whole bunch of times in her hand, and we had to go to the hospital, and, it wasn't great. $30,000. I mean, what's the big deal, right? That's true, that happened, but I am staunchly on the side that cats are a good thing, a good creation of God's. Some of them go wrong, okay? Some of them, they just go wrong, and they get off. But that's true of most animals. There are some that are wrong.
But like 90%, right? Isn't there?
No, not like 90%. They're soft. They tend to have a very Christian outlook in terms of their amount of worry. They're rarely worried about much. If you see a cat, I mean, unless something's attacking it or whatever, it's pretty much just chilling.
It's true.
It's showing a lot of calm. It's showing a lot of, just they're relaxed. And so, no, I do not think they're the most fallen of all mammals. Just so you know, this was Hunter's idea to put this one in here. So I'm going to let you say why they're the most fallen.
I'm going to get all the shade now.
I'm going to let you take all the heat for this.
Well, I think I've already explained it. Your wife spent 3 days how many times? Oh, no, that's probably not a good argument. I was going to say, how many times the dogs hospitalize a person? That probably has happened,
A lot
actually.
more than cats. Yeah, a lot more than cats.
Oops. They are bad for our bird populations.
Okay.
I don't have any.
That's what you got?
I don't have any.
You're
good
coming to me
real
with bird population?
I don't have a good
Okay.
answer.
They're also bad for our rat population, and I prefer that.
That's true. That's true.
I would say that feral cats are something you should stay away from. I'll go with feral cats.
Feral, most anything.
Wild cats, like domestic cats that become wild, not a great thing.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna leave that hot take there. I'm sure there's been some movement
keep going.
in the comments. I don't want anybody to yell too much at somebody. All right. Here's another one.
They're not mad. They're just disappointed.
Okay. I love cats. We have 3 cats at our house, my daughter and her husband's cat. I have my own cat, and my wife has her own cat. Clearly, without a doubt, my cat is the best of those 3 cats.
To be fair, I've never had a cat, and so I can't.
You never even had a
fully
cat?
Speak on it. No,
you shouldn't have even come in with that. No cat. I've had plenty of cats. In any case, all right, here's the last hot take. You ready for it? English-speaking Christ followers should should choose one
autocorrect
English translation of the Bible. English-speaking Christ followers should choose one English translation of the Bible. And what that means is that all Christians, all Christ followers that speak English should agree to one English translation of the Hebrew and Greek Bible, so that everybody is, when we quote a verse or whatever, we're all using the same translation. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that'd be kind of nice in one way. I can think of one way where it'd be nice is that you wouldn't have to go into a church and be like the pastor's reading a scripture and it looks kind of different than what you're reading, and so you're having a hard time following along with it. Other than that, I think that, or I guess there are probably some translations that are just less valuable than some translations.
So like anything, a translation can be better or worse depending on how good the translation is.
Yes, but also I think depending on what you are considering good or bad, and with your purpose for what you want that translation to accomplish.
Right. So there are for translators, like when we go to Honduras.
Yes.
Most of the translators that we use, like say if I'm preaching.
Which we actually have had Nelson watching along with us tonight.
Oh.
I don't know if he's still on, but he was earlier.
What's up, Nelson?
Nelson, good to see you.
So Nelson has been a translator for me multiple times as I've preached. And what Nelson's normally going to do is translate idea for idea as opposed to word for word. So I'm going to say something like, Jesus Christ is the Son of God, and he's going to take that, and he may not take it in those words in that order, but he'll say the same thing. He'll put the same idea out there, but in a way that to the Spanish language makes more sense. As opposed to when you're in a court of law, those translators translate word for word. Mm-hmm. So if a person is speaking in Spanish or Chinese or whatever, Hebrew, they're going to take, that translator has to take what they said and speak it back word for word. each one of those translations has a positive and a negative side. In one case, you're getting exactly what the person said, word for word, in that order. In the other case, you're getting the same idea, but translated idea. So you could say one is better than the other. And then there's ones that I could translate the word. We have words in the English language that mean the same things, but have varying levels of complexity.
Right.
Right. I just used the word complexity. I could have used a different word, right? Like difficulty or something like that. That's not really a
Intricacy.
synonym, but there are synonyms. Some are more complicated than others. And so do you use the more complicated word? All of that's in there. Okay. My take on this is no, there shouldn't be. I don't have any problem with having multiple translations from the Greek and the Hebrew into English for the reason that you just mentioned. Some of them are going to catch because they're different languages. And there are some ideas, let's say in Greek, that really don't have a word in the English that would translate to that word, but rather an idea or a set of words that would translate to that word and so on.
Yeah.
And so I like having the ESV and the NKJV and so on and so forth. Some people think certain translations are just missing too often or missing too much. Like there's people who just really don't like the NIV or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's people on the other side who think the only translation anyone should use is the original King James Version. There are people who are called King James only folks. And they're just like, the only Bible that anyone should ever read in English is a King James translation. I disagree with those people. I also disagree with those who would say that, this one or that one necessarily is not the right one. I obviously feel good. The ones I like the most are the ISV, the NKJV, the ESV. Those translations I like the most. And then there are things that are not translations, but paraphrases, or like the Message or the Living Bible or things like that. And those really aren't translations of the Bible. Those are more like taking ideas and concepts and really trying to use modern language to express something. And so you'll read the Message and it's like it's not like the Bible.
Right. I think if I had to have just one, I would probably want to go towards the more literal one. Well, I mean, if I had to have one, I would take the Greek and I would go learn Greek really, really well.
Which, if you have the time, you should do that. A lot of people aren't going to have the time to read the Greek, and so where something becomes more difficult, you can find out which passages are more difficult in the Greek. And of course, when we're teaching the Bible and preaching it, if there's a Greek word that has a meaning that needs to be brought out more, we do that.
Shows more nuance.
It doesn't matter which translation I'm reading. We'll look back to what, and you can use stuff like the Blue Letter Bible, which will give you those things and give you you can use Strong's as you go through and look at the different words. In any case, no, I don't think we should all have one English translation of the Bible. The first reason, though, actually has nothing to do with that. Why would we invite controversy?
Right. Yeah.
Why would we invite?
Can you imagine the gathering where we're like, okay, we're going to pick one. Let's just say among like a few of us in this church, we're going to decide one. Well, okay, maybe we could decide.
I don't even know if in one church you could take 3 people and get them to for sure agree on one translation.
And, like maybe you could say, yeah, we'll do that for this project, but to say we're going to burn the rest of the translations. This is the only one.
Not happening. Not happening. Much less so different people from different parts of the world and different, I mean, we're talking about only English, but there are other English-speaking parts of the world all coming together and agreeing that this is definitely the one that catches everyone. I mean, it's not going to happen. So for that reason alone, I would say no. But also because I think there's value, and you can find this in things other than the Bible. You can read multiple translations of works that are originally in German or French or Hebrew or Greek.
You kind of start to get a better idea.
And you get a better idea through them, right? And, if you need to, you can go back to the original language and see what the one for one was. So, I think studying the Bible, having multiple translations is great. It's the same Bible. It's translated from exactly the same documents. There's no, I'm not talking about paraphrases or things that were taken and expanded upon or whatever. I'm talking about translations of the Bible. All right. That's what I've got. You got anything else for that one?
Nope. I like how much people are still like going at it about the cats. Yeah.
I'm glad that we're so spiritual that we stay with the cats the whole time.
Catherine says that her cats like all translations.
Oh, good. Yeah, Catherine's cats are pretty theologically sound from what I've seen.
Right.
I've never heard them say any heresy. So, all right, last part of the thing for tonight, and then we're going to let you go, hang out with your family, go to bed, whatever it is that you need to do at 8 o'clock. Any questions that have come up, and I'm guessing there's been a lot going on in the chat room. I don't know if you've caught any questions, but any questions that we have about anything we've talked about or about the message on Sunday or Anything else that you've got? Something that ends with a question mark in there.
Let's see. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
If I missed it, I'm sorry.
If you missed it, text him,
Message me on
Hunter, or
Facebook.
message him on Facebook, or send him an email, and we'll try to catch it tomorrow. Hey, I hope this was fun for you. We're talking about whether to bring this to an evening time rather than the noon hour
lunchtime.
time. If you want to comment in there and be like, look, I would never be able to watch this at noon, but I'd always be able to watch it at 7, or vice versa. So we have, we want to get your feedback on that. I think it's fun to all get together in the evening and do this, but I also think it's fun to get together in the afternoon, and that's in some ways probably easier production-wise, but not necessarily. And so if you enjoyed this tonight, and you just enjoyed being together, whether you're from Acts Church or from somewhere else, let us know. Make sure, again, subscribe, click the bell, like the video on Facebook, like it, share it, do the kinds of things so that more people can take part in this, and we can hang out together. We love you. May the Lord bless you. May He keep you. May His face shine upon you. And we'll see you, Lord willing, tomorrow at the Acts Cast.